Hey, Gary, what's going on?
Brad, I'm just sitting here reading Architectural Digest. It's all we do anymore is just sit around and read magazines, right?
Whatever floats your boat, Gary.
Well,
Magazines with lots of pictures, I would imagine.
it's you know, Architectural Digest during COVID and stuff got to be pretty thin, but it's back. But look at you got a Thermador refrigerator. Look at that! Look at that bad boy.
If I show that to my wife, I'll own one of those bad boys, and that's a hefty price tag.
I mean, here's advertising for a lumber yard. I mean, are you kidding me? Anyway, I'm Gary Kelley. I am with Castanetti Realty Group, and I
I'm
am
Brad
joined
Hammer.
by the.
Oh, sorry, I jumped on you. There you go. Who am I?
Go ahead.
I'm Brad Avergon with Fairway Independent Mortgage.
So, Brad, one of the things I was looking in Architectural Digest about was to talk about staging. Okay. We've had this debate in the office. There are people that say staging is important. There are people that say staging isn't a good use of funds. Uh, Sue and I do a process where in my words, Sue would probably come across the desk at me right now. In my words, we go into a house, we declutter as much as we can if that hasn't already happened. We then organize their furniture in the most appealing way to the stager. Because some people, they get pretty accustomed to living in their house and not having pass around the room and stuff like that. So you try to open that back up so that the natural flow that the architect designed is back in the house. And then, uh, if as needed, we will bring in decor items. We've got a container or two of decor items. What's a decor item? All that crap that they sell at Home Sense, Home Goods, TJ Maxx. Sue and our stager, they like going in and buying that stuff. And over time, you accumulate it. And, we've got a lot of, phony plant material, which I happen to like. I like plants, and so you never have enough plants on a place. We always put white towels in the bathrooms because people like the idea of a clean towel. They will take the Architectural Digest and they put it on a table, and they always put a pair of glasses on top. And I actually saw that at a house the other day and went over to Sue and said they stole the idea. What are your thoughts about that? What are your thoughts about staging?
So it reminds me of an episode of Seinfeld. I think I'm a big Seinfeld fan. And Jerry's talking to his mother, and he says something about, well, I don't think they like me. And his mother says, who wouldn't like you, Jerry? Who wouldn't like you? So I think the first thought well, who wouldn't like my house? Look how beautifully it's decorated. Who wouldn't love this with all my stuff all around? And so I find there's a little bit of an adjustment, and I would imagine it's kind of a delicate conversation that you and Sue must have with clients, kind of explaining to them that your house is absolutely stunning. However, it's important to kind of get it back to a neutral place because people can't visualize themselves when they come into your home. Potential buyers can't visualize themselves in the property when your beautiful stuff is all over the place.
Yeah, the discussion goes along the line of your house is your house. And we need to make it generic so that it appeals to the broadest range of people coming through. And to do that, we're going to depersonalize your home. So all the family pictures come down, all the bowling trophies get put away, all that stuff, because it's got to be something where you can have the buyer come in and envision themselves living there. And you're not going to envision yourself living there if the bowling award from 2 years ago is sitting there on the table. What I say to people, particularly the the sensitive people in their homes, is the staging is going to be the most challenging part of the process. It's not that it's hard. It's that you're going to leave your house as your house in the morning and you're going to come back in the afternoon and it's going to be a generic house. And that can be startling to people. And the reaction we get often is either, what? This isn't our house. Followed by, I never knew it could look this good. Can we stay? And you get both extremes. We've had people where we get the house and we have open houses and we get the house under agreement, and that basically ends the public parading of people through the house. You might have an inspector or an appraiser coming through, but that's about it. And they fastidiously go back and return everything to where it was because they want it to be back to their house. Other people say, listen, I'm moving anyway. Might as well start packing now. Put stuff in the boxes. I tell people when you go through your closets, take the off-season stuff and put it in the closet now because you're not going to need it for the rest of the year. So, put it away now. Just a trick of staging. But it can be an emotional thing for people.
Oh, for sure. And I will openly admit I was amongst the uneducated when it came to staging my own home. And look, I'm a guy. I think I'm pretty logical. I'm like, what do you mean? The house is the house. It's got this many rooms. It's got this many square feet, this many bedrooms, this many bathrooms. Come through. You like it, you like it. You don't like it, don't buy it. Move on. And it was hard for me to adjust my thinking to no, no, no. You got to dress it. You got to dress it a certain way so that people are can visualize themselves in it. And I blame HGTV personally. I blame people have been watching HGTV and in 30 minutes a house goes from a disaster to a beautiful thing with those little tiny table ornaments and fantastic and cappuccino maker in the corner, and
Right.
it looks just beautiful. It looks stunning. And but so I think that's what buyers have come to get used to, and it requires professionals to such as yourself and to come in and say, yeah, your house is great, but people can't see that. They can't see themselves here. They And so it took me some time. And the you guys, I think, use some of your own stuff, but in our case we had to go buy some of that stuff. And I
Well, we've bought it over time.
right.
Our stager and Sue, they will make a run to pick up a couple of things. And that's code for, $100 worth of stuff out of HomeSense. Um, and then it gets reused. Now, I will tell you that we got to the point this winter where the storage location was kind of filled to the gills. And I'm going to say that some of the stuff I didn't particularly like. And so I, of course, verbalized that, at which point I'm told that I have no sense of style and I have no this. But there were some things that over time had been purchased that just they were a pain. We had a high top table that was really, really nice with a couple of stools. I loved using it, but I had no way of moving it without getting a truck. It wouldn't fit in my car. And so I said, yeah, it's a nice table, but it has to go. Or we've had, couch sectionals, things like that. It was nice when we got it, and we're pretty good at getting things on sale. But if it's a sectional that doesn't work, I just no need to have that. So we donated a bunch to the Greater Boston Association of Realtors, and they, basically moved it on to people that needed it far more than we did. And that's nice. But I I I think I'm a believer in staging. I'm not a believer in, well, we'll have the truck arrive with 5 bedrooms of furniture and they will set it up. That costs thousands, and it's just not the thing that I want to do. Sure, if we need to have a bed in a room and we don't have a bed, blow up mattress works pretty well.
I
But
made the mistake of sitting on one of those at an open house once, and it really kind of caught me by surprise. I went to sit down thinking it was a regular bed because it had the bedspread on it.
it,
It was all dressed up and looked mint, right? It looked beautiful. I sat down and the whole thing gave way. I think it was actually on cardboard boxes. That was the other
Right.
trick. They put it on cardboard boxes. So I just collapsed into the thing and quickly reassembled it, not telling anybody.
Oh, Brad, let me tell you, the agent knew. The agent knew. So, do you think that someone challenged me this morning that it doesn't increase the speed of sale? And I don't agree with that. I don't have statistics one way or the other, but my sense is a pleasantly staged house. We stage the house, then we clean, then we have our photos taken. Those photos are things that people are looking at, making a decision to come into the house or not, and they, I think, make a difference.
I begrudgingly, I'm going to have to agree with that, and that's having gone through, the experience where I didn't have the house really staged professionally, and we needed to go back and reassess that, and again, I think, oh, it's a house. Come on, like, it's a house. It's got this many bedrooms, this many baths, this many square foot. It's well maintained. It's well kept. It's clean. Why doesn't it just walk in and see it? This is what it is. And I think the difference is that it allows people to visualize themselves in a beautiful place, in a place that's up to date. It's modern. It's dressed professionally.
It concerns
So
me that you keep talking about dressing the house.
yeah.
Let's hold that thought. And if someone wants to talk to you about dressing their house, how do they reach you, Brad?
Best way to reach me is via my cell phone, Gary, which is 978-375-5531, or they can reach me at brad@bradavergon.com. And Gary, how do they reach you about dressing a house?
Well, you don't. Talking about staging, I can be reached at 508 733 6005 or Gary at movewithgary.com. Brad, let's pay some bills and then we'll start back up again.
See you on the flip side.
We're back with all things real estate. I'm Gary Kelley with Castanade Realty Group, and I'm joined by Brad Avergon, the always debonair loan officer, loan originator, loan whatever from Fairway Independent Mortgage. Still independent after all these years.
Still independent. Yes, sir.
So, Brad, we were talking about your thoughts on dressing houses. Why don't you carry that on?
You know what? Because I don't know. It's one of those things that when you look at the staging, everything looks perfect. It looks, nothing is untouched. Now, let me clue you in on a little secret. They don't, that's not, no one lives that way that I know anyway. No one lives that way. You got kids running around, you got dogs running around, you got all this other stuff. It doesn't look like that picture perfect, but for some reason, you have to dress up the house really nicely for it to have that appeal, as opposed to have kids running around and dogs running around when people came to look at it. I don't think that would have that same kind of oomph.
So,
You
so
agree?
Brad, you're in the money business,
Yeah.
okay? Do people take out loans to do staging and prep for houses and stuff like that?
No, no, I've never seen them do that. I've seen them I've seen them buy things on their credit cards, and then, when the house is sold, they return some of those items. I've seen that. I've seen people do certain things. They've never Sometimes they've used an equity line if they need to do some, like, not just buy a couple of $100 worth of stuff. But if they have to do something like put hardwood floors in, or paint, or redo carpeting or something like that, I have seen them use equity lines to do that before, because they're interest only, and then when the house sells, that equity line gets paid off anyway. So I have seen them.
There is a company called Curbio that will give you money to renovate your house. Renovate may be too strong a word, but to decorate your house. Um, they come in, it's their contractors. They hold the purse strings, and then they put a lien against the house. So you can't sell the house without them getting paid off. But it's all about how do we make the house appeal to the broadest group of people possible. Um, I'm not aware of anybody going out and doing loans to do that. It's interesting.
It is. One of the things that I find interesting is I find it interesting that, and you were commenting on this the first half of the show, is that some of the things are very timely, and I'll give you a perfect example of that. So when we were selling our house, black mulch was in. Now, I had plenty of brown mulch in the garden. It was all well and good, but I had a white house with black shutters and black mulch, I was told would make this house pop. So, sure enough, I went out there and I put black mulch all around the house, ruined my favorite t shirt to do it. But that was a timely thing. That was in back then. I know gray was in for kitchens for a while, this gray color for cabinets and things like that. So, Gary, tell me, like, do a lot of these fashions go in and out, and you and Sue kind of have to stay on top of that, and you encourage your clients to kind of like,
Fashions definitely go in and out. We're would appear to be on the tail end of the gray thing. Now it seems to be more of I'm going to say green. I was told once it was seafoam, which Sue would kill me for saying, but it's that kind of color. And frankly, the beige is coming back. So I need granimals to get dressed in the morning. Okay.
myself as well.
As I sit here now, I don't know if you can see my beautiful jeans. Nice blue jeans.
Lovely, Gary.
Wonderful.
Lovely.
Yeah, they're timeless. Ever since Levi came out with them, and this is a flannel, so yeah, but it's got the company logo on it, so that's what's important, I suppose. But the idea is, I'm not a fashion guy. I do read GQ magazine, and for the life of me, they were in there the other day saying that they were really excited that some guy was wearing this really cheap watch. It was only $500. I'm like, $500 for a watch? And I'm a guy that used to have watches when I worked in corporate America. Having a nice thin watch was important. I was never someone that went for the towering watch. I wanted a thin watch. But today, I carry this.
Yeah.
And it tells me the time. I don't carry a watch. I don't like that. And so, is this a stylish thing? No, I don't think so. But it's certainly functional. And it
Yeah,
certainly
I
will
think
tell
there's
me
a
the time too.
I think there's a difference. I think there's a lot of people. So my brother is an avid watch collector. Has some beautiful, beautiful watches. But he's got a cell phone tune that kind of tells him the time. But it's a fashion. It's a fashion thing. It's a fashion
Right.
statement. I think for him and for a lot of other people. And I think sometimes when they're looking at their homes, I know when we did our home, we had an interior decorator, and we paid her ungodly sums of money, and blah 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 blah. And I was having trouble digesting it, but love my wife, happy life. So we went ahead and did
Well,
that.
for me, that's one of the things is when I've gone down the interior decorator path, and they'll come in, at least the ones that we use, and say, "Well, what's your style?" I don't know. Shabby chic. I don't know, and I just I don't know. I remember one time hiring a decorator that came into. I had sold my house and I was living in an apartment, and she moved things around, and it was like coming home was like going to Disneyland. Every room was a little bit different, but and she did a great job, and that was fun. But I don't want to live that way, and whatever. It is what it is.
Yeah, I think dressing a home. This is why I keep using the term dressing a home. It's a little bit of a fashion statement on a home, and it allows people to say this home is up to fashion, right? It's up to date. It's current. And I would imagine that it communicates that either overtly or subliminally by saying, listen, if it looks up to, if it's dressed like the current fashion statement, the way homes look like on HGTV, then the rest of the home is up to date too. And that's probably a good thing, right? You want to communicate that the home is updated, it's been well maintained.
See, I think people can go nuts with that stuff. I remember talking to someone who was selling a house on Presidential Lane in Southborough, and she was going through and replacing all the door hardware because her real estate agent had said you have to do that so that the house looks updated. And
Right.
yeah, changing the hinges out, and she did, and she got
No,
big bucks.
I
So
yeah, I mean, I remember we had to change out some light fixtures because we had, and they were perfectly functional. The old brass and glass light fixtures, as opposed to the LED all glass light figure fixtures that they have now. And so brass was out. Okay, I guess we have to change it. So there's, I mean, there's certain things. Obviously, as a realtor, you try to encourage your clients to do things that are not going to be too expensive, but that are going to get you your most bang for your buck, so to
right,
speak, with some of those things. But there are things that I kind of scratch my head going, it's a perfectly good, functional, light. It was cutting edge at its time, which was probably 20 years ago. You know what I mean? So it's just one of those things that it can be challenging to understand, but it is important, and it can change the price, right? I mean, when you got a house that's dressed, doesn't that make a difference?
oh,
That's
it does. When I sold my condo, um, Sue came in, and Sue was my agent. So Sue's giving me an assessment, and it had all been painted and all that. She comes in and she says, "Oh, countertop, black granite, very not good." And frankly, I reacted just like a consumer. I am not changing the countertop. I'm not going to do it. It's black. It's been black, and it'll be black for a long time.
I hear that. I hear you. Yeah, it's certain things go over well, other things not so well. But I think you bring up a point, which is certain things you can, like paint is pretty cheap to change a color.
Right.
Especially if you picked a color that was not neutral. Let's say you picked a color, I want a feature wall, and the wall's going to be black. That might have appealed to you. I know my son was into that. That might appeal to him, but for somebody coming in, you want light, you want airy. The other thing is, this killed me when I had to do it, but we had to take the window dressings down that I paid tremendously large sums of money for. We had to take them down because they didn't
Naked
let
windows are in.
the light. They needed to have light in the
Right.
house. It makes sense. I just, but that's where you bring in the professionals, right? Because you're not buying your own house. Somebody else has to, and that's where having a professional can tell you this is going to make your house sell faster for more money.
But as you know, the professionals don't always agree. No, you can have one come in and say, do it one way, and then the house sits there, and someone else comes in and says, well, yeah, you should have had, you don't have any curtains up? Of course it's not going to sell if you don't have curtains. And you get into that conundrum of what do I do and who do I believe? And it can be very annoying and costly.
Yeah, for sure. For sure. And so you do have to kind of find the person that you're going to go with and go with their philosophy. But you also bring up that, like, sometimes you tell those professionals, like you did to Sue, I'm not changing those black countertops. We had a beautiful, I mean, we had family pictures taken there, beautiful weeping willow in our front yard of our other home. And one of the agents came in and said, you need to cut that down. I said, I planted that tree when my daughter was born. There's no way in hell that tree is coming down, and it didn't come down. The house sold. The first thing the guy did was take the tree down, and broke my heart personally, but it wasn't my house anymore. It
Right,
was blocking his view. He wanted the tree down.
right.
Crazy.
Brad, parting words. Parting words from the world of finance. We didn't talk much finance this show.
Listen to professionals, get your house dressed to sell, and then come to me for a mortgage. That's my parting words.
Perfect. And Brad, how do they reach you?
Best way to reach me is via my cell phone, which is 978-375-5531, or via email at brad@bradavergon.com. And Gary, how do they reach you?
I'm Gary at movewithgary.com, and it's 508-733-6005. Brad, thank you. I appreciate your staying dressed for the whole show.
Gary, you are the couturier of casas. Have a great day.
I'm going to look that up.